Welcome to Detangle, where we untangle the complexities of life one conversation at a time. I'm your host, Dr. Kinjal Goel, a psychologist and a writer. We have with us today Mr. Andre Timmins, the co-founder and director at IIFA and Wizcraft. I'm so happy to have you on my show today, Andre. Welcome to Detangle.
Oh, thank you so much. You got me onto the show at last.
I know, it's been fun.
No, but I'm extremely thrilled to be on the show, and I'm extremely happy as to what you're trying to, with the show, send message out to the right kind of people, the younger lot of India, and what you want to do in the, mental wellness space of people and the younger lot. So I think it's a great show that you've got, and keep going.
Thank you so much, Andre. There's so much that I have to ask you because your field is so interesting and you have so much experience behind the same kind of work you've been doing for decades. I simply can't wait to get started.
Thank you so much.
Well, so here goes. To begin with, Andre, tell us what inspired you to pursue event management as a career. I mean, did you have a certain person or event who inspired you?
Well, I think, Kinjal, I'll just take you back. Probably when I started my career, I started as a DJ, right, at the age of 17. And I played for about 3 years in a place called Airport Plaza, which used to be that time. It's now called the Orchid Hotel in near the airport. And I loved, first of all, our family is very musical. We had a band and, we were very much into music. And I, finished school, and then my father said, listen, now you got to go out and work. And DJing was kind of an inbuilt in our family, music and everything. So when I went to DJ there, I remember that time in 82, I think it was, 83, it was, my salary was 700 rupees. Right. Wow. And probably I used to spend more money because I used to love it. For us, it was a 4-star hotel, working there. You're meeting all the right people. And so I started my career there as a DJ. And then that's where I understood, what is it to connect with people? What is it the people want, And, my previous boss that was DJing with me, at that time, DJs used to be kind of the hot shots, right? In 82, 83, 84. At that period, DJs were very kind of in, right? Music was in. And people would come and ask for requests, and he would say, okay, I'll play it, and then not play it for 1 hour. What I did is when anybody came to me, the first thing I did, from that time, I always wanted people to be happy. I always wanted people to feel good, and people would come and say, can I play a request, right? Can you play me this song, that song? And I would play it like in the next minute, or next song would be their song. They would be thrilled. And that's where I saw that, the connection, the relationship started way back in 82. Right, 83. And from there, we opened, I worked for 3 years, and then I opened my first nightclub called Xanadu in Hotel Horizon in 86. And while we opened a club, the idea was that we saw that we had to bring in people, we had to do certain amount of things. So at that time, fashion was very big. Right. Okay. Dancing was very big. What you see today, in today's age of dance shows, we were doing it way back in 80, 86, 85, 86, but they were more at that time, of course, we didn't have social media. We didn't have such, communication. And that's where we did a dancing championship. We did a fashion show. And that's the time we realized that, listen, there's a need to probably build a kind of a thing in the entertainment space, because people need services in that space. And while I was working in Takeoff and came to Xanadu, own my own club, the good part was that we met a lot of influential people, business people, you know what I mean? At that time, clubs was very upmarket, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's where I made all my connections, relations. And then when we did the dancing championship and we organized it because it's part of promoting our club, Xanadu, right? That's when we realized that, there is a need in this space. And in 88, That's when Viraf, my partner, was with me at Xanadu, and Sabas, who's my partner now, like I'll go on to say more about the three of us also. We then decided, Sabas was working with the daily and afternoon newspaper, and he came to do an interview with us regarding, being the youngest nightclub owners and doing so many events and everything. And then post that, we decided that, listen, there's a need for this. Why don't we actually do something called A to Z in entertainment? And we kept mulling over the idea, and we kind of, while I was doing, me and Viraf were working and owning this club, Sabas was there. We came up with this idea of what should we name it, what should we do. And A to Z in entertainment that time was doing birthday parties, singing telegrams, various things where, let's say, the household would not do, we could do. You know what I mean?
Right.
At that time in a house, you would kind of do a birthday party for your children or whatever. You would just bring stuff over and do it, right? There was no organizing involved, basically. That's when we decided, what do we call it? What do we do? And then we, came up with goblins, witchcraft and all. And ultimately we came up with the name called Wizcraft.
Wow, and that's really stuck now.
Yeah, and it stuck. And so in 88, we launched Wizcraft, the three of us. And at that time, it was, called A to Z in entertainment. And that time, dancing was very big. So if you look at the current dancers today, or you look at the dancers that we used that time, was people like Farah Khan, who's now a big director, right? Arshad Wasi, who's also an actor, right? Okay. So a lot of people that we use, Akbar Sami, who's a big DJ today, right? So at that time, we had a lot of dancers, Sajid Khan, who's Farah's brother also. So we used, dancing was a big thing at that period. So we used to do, like, on 31st night, we used to do like 10 shows. We used to all be in a Maruti van and keep running around, right? From this show to this show, this show to this show. So it was pretty interesting. But the challenge was at that time was to get manpower.
Right.
Because
not many people working in this zone.
Not many people working in the zone, and not many parents wanted their kids to work late nights or on weekends. And, they all thought that this was some shady business, that entertainment thing, and that time there was no event management, right? It was all about something that we were kind of trying. We were still doing our jobs. I was still owning the club. Sabas was still learning. So we took close to about 8 to 9 months. And then we decided, listen, let's quit what we are doing. Let's just focus on Wizcraft and do it. And that's how Wizcraft was born.
How beautiful is that? So what I pick up in this conversation so far is that you, A, had the same partner since you began. And B, you actually knew what people want, which is exactly what we are trying to find out from every field of work that we interact with. What do people want? So let me get to these 2 points eventually. Starting off with my next question. Tell me about that zenith, Andre, when you were able to bring Michael Jackson to India when he was at the top. How was that for you? How monumentally did that change everything in your zone of Wizcraft?
Well, I'm getting goosebumps while you're asking me this question. I don't think many people know the background of bringing Michael Jackson to India in '96, which was, extremely early for entertainment in India. But coming to Michael Jackson, yes, what happened was we were in that period, the biggest thing was bringing international concerts, and we were talking to a lot of artists internationally to come to India. And suddenly we got a fax from London and LA saying that, listen, Michael Jackson wants to come to India. He wants to do a couple of music videos, and he's always been enamored by India. And he wants to, of course, go to the Taj Mahal. He wanted to meet Mother Teresa. And these were all his wishes that, he just wanted to come to India, right? And when we got this fax, we thought it was a joke. That
really?
time there was, because there were fax machines, right? So we got this fax saying Michael Jackson wants to come to India. So we thought it was a prank. we called up the agent and called up the agency, and they said, no, we are very keen to bring him here, and he's very keen to come. So let's start our discussions. And at that time, we were very concerned about, because, how do we do it? How do we make this work? It's so big. We are still so young, Next thing we knew, we were on a flight to meet Michael Jackson, because what we said to the management, that if we don't meet him, right, because Michael Jackson had cancelled the show previously twice, right? Okay. So we said, if we don't meet him personally, right, ask him face to face, right? That's the confidence we want, because, in end of the day, we are living in India. We can't do something and then it gets cancelled. It's not going to be good. So they said, okay, fine. Why don't you come to Los Angeles? We can discuss the contract. You can meet Michael Jackson, and he himself will tell you that he's keen to come to India. And that's when we kind of got our act together here.
Right.
We met first with Raj Thackeray, Bal Thackeray, because they were running the government, because naturally bringing Michael Jackson here, we needed the whole support of the government in Maharashtra, right? And of course, there was absolutely no doubt at that time also in their mind that it will be good for Maharashtra, because it will get international exposure. And thanks to them, that we actually, it was all, Bala Saab's blessings and Raj Thackeray's consistent to support us, to make sure, because he needed security, he needed proper kind of, I would say, assurance.
Transport and
assurance. Yeah. So that's what we got. And then we went to LA. And when we went to LA to meet him, of course, we dressed up in Indian outfits. You'll get the picture off the net, or I'll send it to you. It was a great meeting with Michael Jackson. We went in, we were made to sit down. We had gone to an hangar, right? Okay. There was a hangar where he was rehearsing, and we were called there. We kind of landed there, and they put us in one sitting area in a room for about 45 minutes. And then they took us to another room where Michael Jackson would meet you. And we were like literally shivering, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What a star he was then.
Yeah. And then we waited, and we had taken along with us, Ganpati, because it's Lakshmi, and we had taken Natraj, right? To present to him. And suddenly when he walked in, right, with his whole setup, right, because you're rehearsing, we were just numb, right? We kind of stood up, said hello. He said, sit down. And I have to say one thing, we spent with him, I think, close to about 30 minutes, right? And I have to say one thing to you, that Michael Jackson, he is, first of all, a great human being, very intelligent, knows the world. When we spoke about India and we spoke about the culture, he knew everything. When he spoke about Mother Teresa, he spoke about Taj Mahal, he spoke about what he wants to do in India, in the charity field. He wanted to kind of, bridge the culture, do something for the community, bring in a large part of entertainment into India in the future. And he was so excited. And we handed over both the things to him. He knew exactly what the Ganpati was, because he said, I have one big one in my home, right? And I collect a lot of these things in my house, because I kind of, if I'm working with the country, I need to know more. And that meeting was historical for us, meeting Michael Jackson in person. And of course, we got him to do a video, right? Which we kind of took 15 minutes to train him in saying that, may India aa raha hoon, may Mumbai aa raha hoon, because we said, if we don't get a video, how will we go back and tell the people that you're coming? So actually he did a video for us, right? Okay. And when he said, yes, I'm going to come, and then we got this video, we came back, everybody was so excited. Now, the question is, now we are back. Michael Jackson is on. He wants to do it. Now, how do we kind of get the infrastructure, right? Because we had to do local infrastructure and all this equipment was coming down and everything. And that's where we kind of bumped into Bharat Shah. At that time he's still a great human being. And he said, no problem. If it's Michael Jackson, I'm willing to, support and help and to bring him down. And that's when we started everything, getting all the preparations done. It was not easy, I have to say, Kinjal. It was extremely tough because at every stage we had to work with the Michael Jackson management, right, as to what they want and how do we work with the Indian sentiments, right, or what they want and how do we do this. And the one thing we told Michael Jackson, when you come down here, you need to do a press conference, you need to meet people, we need to do some charity, we need to kind of, be more, because Michael Jackson will never do a press conference. He would come into a country, into a city, perform and go away, right? Yeah. So we got him to do all these things. And, but putting the show together, was extremely, extremely stressful. I think with Michael Jackson coming to India, the best thing for Wizcraft was Wizcraft became a household name. Everybody in the country knew who Wizcraft was, and everybody knew what event management was, right? They understood that event management has now landed, and everybody who's going to be in this business, it's good for people, it's good for a career, and that's what scaffolded event management. The term event management came after Michael Jackson left, and Wizcraft became a household name.
So while people were practicing psychology behind closed doors, you were living psychology in real time. You were discussing what people wanted, so many layers, and making it all come together.
I can say one thing to you. I think in the course of our discussing as we go forward, you have to have love and passion for what you do, right? You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? And that's what we live, breathe, events.
How lovely. So tell me, Andre, that now that you've done something so massive to begin with, and then, of course, your career has been star-studded, so to say. When you started in this industry, it was so different from what it is now. Clients have changed, their demands have changed, stars and their demands have also changed. So tell us about both. I mean, what evolution do you see?
Well, I see when we started off with birthday parties to corporate events to concerts, and if you look at the requirements that time, a lot of requirements that time was to do with technology, innovation, and I would say more from on ground experience, right? Okay, right. Clients, any clients even at that time or even now are demanding. Right. Okay. In terms of what they want the best. They want something different. Give me something different. Give me something good, something that nobody else has done. And as we started off our career and got into corporate events and concerts and everything, corporate events is basically today termed as brand activation. And experimental. So the idea was at that time when we were doing corporate events, it was more to kind of, propagate their brand within their dealers and everything. But that time, the demand was more to do with, I would say, more from a point of view of on-ground experience, right? Today, it's very different. Today, it's all about immersive. It's all about engaging with experiences and audiences. And it's all about leveraging technology, social media, reach, and everything. So today's demand, especially after COVID, right, is very different. So if I go back in the 90s, right, okay, everything was new to us. When we bought lasers, it was new to us. When we bought 3D lasers, it was new to us. When we bought holographic images, it was new to us, right? So all those stages of life, and if you look at it today is very different. Today is all about technology, social media, immersive, and people have become more conscious of their brands, right? Because the shift to digital is there today, So right. I would say that's the new dimension to events today.
Lovely. So what part of all this brings you the most happiness, Andre? What just brings that smile to your face?
See, my love, my love and passion for this business has always been there. And you got to be happy in what you do. And ultimately, if you look at the business, what we love is live business, right? Okay. There's no retake. It's not a movie, right? It's all about live, right? And the best thing about as to what I love, right, and brings me happiness is when the event goes well, the client is happy and he says, listen, great show, guys, superb. And that's when you know, because in our business, it's all about now. It's all about what event you've done now, right? If you don't do a good event, client doesn't come back to you, right? So you got to make sure that it's 100% right and the client is happy. And that's the most important thing in our business, right? Is making sure everything is right. And well, it comes from a lot of teamwork. The most important thing is teamwork. And for me, that's what makes me happy is when the client is happy and he says, the event is great, superb.
And you have so much scope for creative conceptualization also. You're able to do so much out of the box thinking. You have, like an open hand to do. I mean, the whole ideas, when they start coming, that must be a good time.
Yeah, I would say, just to offshoot this, when you say creativity and idea, that's what we live and breathe. For example, I'll give you a small example. You can take it forward later. Is when we did around about 90, I think it was 93 or 94, we had done the launch of Samsung in India.
Achha.
And we did this launch at the Taj Mahal. Okay, just outside with the backdrop and everything. And the beauty of technology at that time was where the screen opens up and the TV travels on a track in the front. But today, it's very different. Today, you can do it with immersive, you can do it with the holographic, it's extremely different in terms of creating magical moments for your clients. The important thing is, for us, creativity has no boundaries.
Yeah, so wonderful. Huh? You can just use the best talent there is, the best stage there is, and you can just play. So this is basically intelligence having fun. That's when creativity comes to the stage.
Very true, very true, very true.
So going to the darker side, what part of this business saddens you the most? Is there anything that you wish you could change?
Well, in our business, like I said earlier to you, that there's no retakes, it's live. Everything is for now, right? I think the one thing that our business brings us is both stress and happiness, right? You can't run away from pressure of delivery, which is the most important thing in our business, right? Okay. And the stress comes with it. So the idea here is what we've been doing currently with our employees, with our people and everything is actually working in a way where there's a balance, because in our business, it's, you could actually just, have a lot of issues when you're working because projects that we do, large projects like the Commonwealth Games, right, or Global Citizen, everything, you're working with multiple talents, multiple artists, multiple people, and each compartment that you're working on brings a lot of pressure on you. And you're also working with 1,000 people, 2,000 people across. Somebody's doing stage, sound, lights, venue, logistics, people coming in, going out. And the most important thing in all these events is also making sure everybody is secured.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So security of people in, which is the least in India, as you see, right? Health and safety, right, of people who are coming in. So what we've been developing over the years is making sure that these things are in place, health and safety, and everything, that people come in smoothly, people go smoothly, and that's what I would say we are. But of course, you know what I mean? There's so many other things that you don't account for, or obscene things that, whether it's commercially or not commercially. But I think for us, it's both. I wouldn't say it would sadden me the most, but I would say from a point of view that there is stress and happiness also at the end.
Agreed. So tell me, Andre, when you're working at this scale, you're working with superstars, you're working with super clients because they're the ones who are spending their money. Now, all of this is stressful. Like you said, there is happiness, but there is a due amount of stress. But how do you take care of yourself personally? Any tips you have for newcomers in this industry? Because now a lot of people are doing event management. What would you advise them and how do you take care of yourself?
Well, I think the first thing that we need to do in today's day and age, because as you know, that social media is a big, consumption to everybody in the world. For me, my tip to the younger lots is that, and the way I handle my stress is, first of all, always smile.
I can vouch for that. This I know for sure.
Always smile, be positive. Remember that whatever has to happen will happen. You got to give it your best shot. You got to be focused, right? And you should not look back. Dream big, party harder, right? The idea here
sounds
is
like a plan.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. But I'm saying that because in our business, when we're working with stars, we're working with people, not necessarily everything goes well. Right? And especially in the entertainment business, there's always a chance of that anything can happen. And the one thing that I do is that I'm always upfront. This is the problem. This is what is it. Now we need to solve it, right? Because if you don't tell them the truth, right, you're going to be in a big fix. So you got to make sure that whatever you do, you must be upfront and you must tell them that this is the situation. For example, if I'm doing a show and something happens, or there's no license, or there's a problem, or there's a permission, even with our clients, we work with the clients as a team that this is what the issue is, because that will de-stress you, right? Okay.
Right.
And then you work a solution out and go forward. But for me, the way I look at my life and my stress dealing with in the events business is we always got to be smiling, positive, focused, and we got to make sure that this is going to happen.
I also think that, one thing this generation is not taking seriously enough is long-term relationships. Like you mentioned at the beginning, you have been with the same partner since the inception of your organization. That is one superpower that you have that most people take for granted now. They'll flit from person to person. Tell us more about this, your relationship with your partners, and how far do you see yourselves going?
Well, Kinjal, I'm getting goosebumps again. When you talk about relationships, I've lived on relationships from the time I started working at the age of 17, right? I have friends who are even now, who I met in 86, 95, 2000, they're all my friends. And relationships, according to me, is the most important thing in business, also in friendship. What I believe today is that when three partners are together for 36 years,
wow, knock on wood for that.
Thank you so much. Viraf, Sabas, and myself, we've been together. We all have our differences when we work, but the one goal we have is that whatever we do is going to be best for the company or best for that event, right? And for the youngsters today, what I keep telling them, right, when they come, we have so many people working in our company. I keep telling them, listen, don't look short term, look long term. Always look at front end. Always look at meeting clients. Giving your best shot, being straightforward. Being humble in events is very important to be humble, because that's the most important thing. That the client is king.
True.
So for me, for today's youngsters who are so impatient, right? Because let's say they're drawing, 100 rupees here, and after 6 months, somebody is giving them 125 rupees, they'll jump. And
Exactly.
And I keep telling them, listen, be patient, grow. And, this goes with my father. My father worked in the airport for 33 years, and Vera's father worked in Godrej for 30 years. So the idea here is it comes from there. Right. And that's why the three of us have been together for 36 years. And I think we'll be together for lifetime.
Touch wood again. So tell me, when you all started working together, when you all were, just starting off with your events, was IIFA anywhere in your mind? Was this something you all planned towards? How did this come about?
Kinjal, we used to execute two events in the 90s. That was Filmfare Awards and Femina,
right?
Miss India. We used to work with Pradeep Goa that time, who's unfortunately we lost him. He was also one of my mentors at that time. I learned a lot from him. And in the year 2000, 99, 2000, that, it was that whole, if you know that internet craze, right? You know what I mean? The whole craze that come in the year 2000. And then we decided that while we are doing events for other people, why don't we build our own IP? And it was two things. Do we get into cinema or do we get into cricket?
Acha. Okay.
At that time, right? Because, two global IPs from India was, of course, cinema and cricket, right? We choose cinema from a simple perspective because we found that one is that we were already involved for so many years. We learned so much. We were very much entrenched into the industry. And we felt that cinema was something that can go and tell stories to the world, right? And we wanted to take our stars to the fans, right? Because, the second and third generation abroad didn't have a chance. There was nothing like this abroad. Everything was in India.
Correct.
So that's when IIFA gave birth. And we started in London at the Millennium Dome, 2,500 people. We got Mr. Amitabh Bachchan to be our brand ambassador. And I give all the credit to IIFA today, of course, is to Mr. Bachchan and the film industry that supported us to, kind of stay alive for 24 years. This is our 24 years. And hopefully in the 25th year, we may go back to London.
Oh, how lovely is that? So, what you said about stories, I totally believe that every country has a set of soft powers. And one of India's strongest soft power is storytelling. We tell stories like no one else does, and we can control the narrative of the world just through our stories. So well done on that part.
No, thank you so much. And we're very proud of IIFA because we feel that IIFA today is a brand. And I always tell everybody, Kinjal, that, if you look at today, if you take 2.5 decades, right? And if I ask you which are the IPs that have been given birth in these 2.5 decades, it'll be very difficult. But what comes to my mind is IIFA, is the Formula E. Not many IPs stay alive for so many years.
True.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
And IIFA is all about exporting India to the world. And that's why we are very, very proud to be an Indian brand. We are very proud that we've achieved this out of India. I have to tell you one thing. What you see on TV and what you see live is two different things altogether.
Really?
Yes. So please come to the next IIFA.
Done. So, Andre, on a more serious note, if you have to give a piece of advice to your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
To give advice to a 20-year-old Andre?
Yes.
Well, I would say, success in the industry doesn't come overnight. Okay. There are bound to be challenges. You know what I mean? But if you embrace every learning opportunity, and the one thing I would say, don't be afraid to take risk, right? You know what I mean? And go out there and do what you want to do. Andre at 20, again, building strong relationships and networking. And lastly, be true to your passion and vision, even if it's tough.
Especially when it's tough. Lovely. Andre, digressing a little bit from from the film and TV industry, from event management, you've been so active with the National Cardiac Arrest campaign. We've worked on this together. You've been a tremendous source of support and help to the whole organization. But what drives you towards this social cause?
Kinjal, I think when you all approached me and wanted my support in this cardiac arrest campaign, it's not about something personal. I think I have always, from the beginning, always wanted to do things in this segment, is to get more awareness to people. People should know more about this entire cardiac arrest campaign that you're doing, and the one thing I want to appeal to all the actors and the film industry and celebrities, that they all should be part of this campaign, because what you're doing is the awareness nationally. Okay. And I've seen through my support how many people I've got saved, right?
Oh, yes,
So
it has been phenomenal.
yeah, and in a small way, when I went through a small healthcare, I understood, what it means to knowing more, right? You know what I mean? And in
Right.
today's day and age, if you don't listen, you won't learn. So I think, I'm there to support you in whatever I can do in a small way. But I think we are not doing enough. Our industry is not doing enough. We need to do more. And that's my promise. We'll get more people to spread the word.
Well, fingers crossed on that one. Let me ask you one of my favorite questions on the
Yep.
podcast. 3 seasons, so many guests, and my question remains. We all have a physical first aid box at home. We like to keep things like maybe band-aids, painkillers, anything for those minor cuts and bruises. But what if you were to have a mental first aid box? What would you put inside that would take care of a bad emotional day? Opening something which would just make you so happy.
Well, I think my first aid box would be, of course, it includes moments with my family, friends. And as you know, I'm a DJ, so I'm a big lover of music. For me, when I travel or when I go anywhere, I don't watch movies. I listen to music. So
Wow.
music for me is medicine.
Lovely.
It unwinds me, resets me, and also brings me back a lot of memories, right? Because the music that I like. The second thing is I would put in my box is my prayers. Prayers is a huge part of me starting my day or doing anything. The first thing I do is my prayers. And of course, I want to create a positive impact in work. So I think for me, my box would be kind of family, friends, music, prayers, and of course, bringing joy to people. Providing comfort and motivation in challenging times.
How lovely. That sounds like a fantastic box. It has some real things, it has some metaphysical things, but it sounds so complete.
Thank you so much.
Before we come to a close of the discussion, Andre, is there any question that you have for me as a psychologist?
I think what I want to ask you is that, with this podcast and what you do, you multitask a lot. I can see that, right? What keeps you going? What's your day like, and what keeps you going in keeping you so positive? Talking to so many people, and what I know of you that you do a lot of things in a day. So, what would your day look like, and what would make you happy?
Well, my day is pretty compartmentalized. I consult on certain days of the week. I see patients in person and online. I'm a health psychologist, so that takes priority, that's precedence over everything else. But I realized over time that when I talk to people, I end up having these fascinating discussions. Intellectual stimulation is food for me. And then I just used to feel so bad that I couldn't share these discussions with my friends or with others so that the inspiration spreads. That's how the podcast came about. And I said, okay, there are people doing amazing work out there. And if I can just talk to them and share these conversations, it would bring me so much more joy. And so it started. So I record 2 or 3 times a week, depending on when the season is being uploaded. Sometimes there's a break when the season is just done, and that time I'll focus more on my writing. I'm currently writing my 5th book. So that again is food for my soul, because reading and writing are parts of me that I can never give up. So a usual day would be about 3 to 4 hours of consulting, maybe an hour of working on the podcast. If recordings are underway, then the days are longer. I also have 2 kids, both are teens. One is 16, one is 14. So I enjoy spending my time with them. I think all said and done, my biggest joy is when I know that they're looking at me and they are seeing there's so much that we can do in life. They look at me and they don't see somebody who is waiting for things to happen. They see me as a proactive person, and this is the best teaching that I'm giving them. So that is my sense of joy when they see that, okay, you know what, mom, we are going to do this, this, and this. We're not afraid to try new things. So that is my biggest win.
Wow, that's so cool. It sounds exciting, and I think when you encapsulated what you do, I think it kind of I would term it as happiness.
True, true. It's just pure joy. It's just pure happiness. And, it's a nice way to be. So I enjoy it.
Great. Congratulations, Dr. Kinjal. Great speaking to you.
It was lovely speaking to you, Andre. I mean, a lot of people asked me when, my other guests also saw that you were on the list this season. They said, really, how does event management and psychology, what synergy do they have? And I said, everything in life is about psychology. And this conversation has brought out so much of that in such a beautiful way. Unless you understand what a person wants, unless you understand what a person doesn't want, there is no event happening. And an event is such a beautiful way for us to express ourselves, right? From little weddings to large, grand celebrations, it's all about expressing us as individuals, as families. So I've had a great time talking to you. I've had a great discussion understanding how everything from DJing to Michael Jackson to IIFA has come about. But thank you so much for taking this Sunday afternoon off and for being with me on Detangle, Andre.
No, I'm extremely happy, and I've enjoyed myself on this show, and all the best.
Well, thank you, and all the best to you too.
Thank you.